Bing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. We are the
Nerd ledger.
nerds. I'm Cage.
Yep.
The green block is chair. We're
Chair.
not live. We're just recording this
Uh,
because until my computer and my internet are better, I don't trust live. I just don't trust it.
yep.
Don't trust it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Well.
it doesn't really matter if we're live or not because it's the same show whether we're live or not. So, anyway, today we have to talk about the Rings of Power.
We're catching up. I've been gone for a few weeks, about 2 weeks now, I think. So
It's
good to be
been
back.
3 weeks since we last
Oh,
podcasted together,
damn.
but yeah,
It's been a
2 weeks
wild,
off.
wild little ride.
Yeah.
Um.
So
So yeah.
yeah. Well, I have shared my thoughts on this podcast about episodes 5 and 6. But what are some of your thoughts on episodes 5 and 6? There was a lot of weird things happening in those episodes.
Weird things, but also really badass things. You
True.
know. 5 and 6, and then the last one came out last night is 7, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So 7 came out last night. 7 was like the big battle. So.
Yes.
Five is with all the cringe Hobbit stuff that I hated, and it was just about that, and more Tom Bombadil, and I didn't like any of that, and a lot of the Numenor stuff, and the weird Kraken thing that spit her back out, and like that was kind of weird and jank and a little over dramatic. I don't know. It's just weird how like how the stuff that was like the most promoted, like the Hobbit shit, in like the Numenor shit was like ends up being
Yeah.
like just omega levels of cringe.
Just stuff I just don't care about.
Yeah, like you hear about like like we'll talk about this soon, but like that the guy who forged the rings again? I cannot remember his name.
What,
It's
Anatar?
Celebrimbor.
Oh,
No,
Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
Celebrimbor. That Celebrimbor. The dude who's playing Celebrimbor and the dude who's playing Sauron are just like every time they're on scene together, it's just like a play. Like you feel
Yeah.
like you're watching a play. It's really really fucking good. The dwarf stuff is Chef's Gift, Persic, all those like that guy's Descendant of Madness is fantastic and everything like that. It's all just really good shit. It's but this episode was like because it was 3 weeks ago. I'd probably blotted it out, but it was probably one of the cringe episodes. Like you said,
Oh.
the hobbits kissed. That was pretty annoying. And
The hobbits did
just
kiss, yes.
the hobbits kissed. So
I think I have notes still. Yeah. So episode 5 was one of the better ones. It had that's when like the dwarves first got their Durin got his ring.
mm,
The doors of Durin or the gates to Moria were presented before Celebrimbor. And it is true that Narvi did make the doors, so Narvi's still
mm,
there.
mm,
Yeah, there were some shout outs for you know the good lines of men.
mm.
As Anatar tried to convince Celebrimbor to make the rings, and he called out Arendil, who is Elrond's dad, Tuor, who is Elrond's granddad, and Beren, who also related. uh,
Somehow he's in there.
yeah. Yeah, and then that's also the episode where Mindariel or whatever the dumb blonde elf's name is.
Yeah,
She's
me and Rio like her a lot. Should we talk about how that lady wants to receive Sauron's gift constantly, probably
yeah, yeah,
multiple times in the same day.
yeah. She was wearing one of the rings and she saw his true form.
mm,
But he like manipulated her to think it was Celebrimbor's true form, and
mm,
so yeah, that happened in that episode. And then the logic behind creating the rings, the 9, didn't really make sense to me, because
mm,
Celebrimbor is like, Anatar is like, well, you either have to like tell Gilgalad, that like the 7, had some imperfections that we put in there, or you can just make more imperfect rings. That'll balance everything out.
mm.
So there was that, and then, yeah, that was like episode 5, and then episode 6 was the real cringe one.
Yeah.
Where you had Anatar was still, he's still doing his thing, manipulating everybody, rizzing up Mindariel or whatever the fuck her name is. And yeah, you also had like the Adar stuff with Galadriel, but you also have these very, very big red flags, big signs pointing at the stranger saying, "I am Gandalf. I am Gandalf." Because Tom Bombadil talks about the secret fire, and Gandalf is a servant of the secret fire,
Yeah.
and he straight up says the line that Gandalf says to Frodo in Fellowship about, "If you can't give life, don't be too quick to deal with death and judgment." Like, come on, like it's so stupid at that point. And then yes, Elendil and Muriel are very cringe, and Poppy.
You know what I think?
What do you think?
I think I think it's the stranger Saruman, and they're just fucking jerking you off with Gandalf quotes. In the end, they're gonna pull a quick one on you.
Well, maybe they are, but guess what? It wouldn't
Mm.
make any sense.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
does anything in this show really make any sense? Or is Saruman already kicking around? Is that what you're implying? He should have been kicking around for like 10,000 years now, or whatever.
no, no. Well, neither of them should be here. Like, I mean,
Mm.
Sauron and no, sorry, Saruman and Gandalf, neither should be in Middle Earth at this point. Obviously, they're like compressing the timeline and all that stuff, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't make any sense for it to be Saruman, based on everything we know about the character so far. Like,
Mm.
Saruman would never say the things that he's saying or behave the way he's behaving. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And like Saruman, like he didn't ever. The only wizard who ever cared about Hobbit lore was Gandalf.
Mm.
It would make more sense for him to be maybe potentially a combination of one of the blue wizards and Gandalf
Mm.
or something. But I mean, he just has to be Gandalf, which I think is stupid. But and then obviously they're doing the Poppy Mary Mac thing where they fell in love like day one. Like eventually, like hobbits will come from them, but it's still stupid. Yeah, and then the other thing that was set up with episode 6 was Farazan. By the way, Numenorians are idiots. I don't care what anybody says. Motherfucker, Muriel survives, and all of a sudden they're back on her team. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, last episode, Valendil got killed by Farazan's dumbass son. Nobody blinks an eye. Aarion, the daughter of Elendil, is just a fucking moron. And Muriel survives the giant sea monster, and now everybody's back on her side. She's the god of the sea or some shit. Or queen of the sea, or I don't fucking know. And then Farazan goes and looks in the Palantir, the same thing that everybody's against, and sees Sauron, which is to me just like it's not a red herring, but it's like it's foreshadowing that he's gonna go capture or align with Sauron in the future. Yeah. So episode 7 had a lot going on, like a lot. So, but what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What do you think of the season so far?
I mean, so far so good. It's just last night's episode was really good. Really really good. The big battle, right? That was what happened. The big battle, like the first, like the episode before, the episode from last week was also very good because again it was just about the drama between Celebrimbor and Sauron, and like what's going on in Dwarfland, and a little bit of the Numenor shit, but not that much. Like, but and then like we get a lot of Adar in the camp and stuff like that, and it's just all good stuff. Like I don't even know where to begin. Like I don't know many issues I had because I'm still focused mainly on the big battle that happened last night that I watched,
Yeah.
which was a fantastic cinematic, like not masterpiece, but it was really enjoyable to watch. Was the most important thing. That episode was like an hour and 30 minutes long, hour and 40 minutes long.
It was like an hour and
It was
10 minutes long, but
it was an hour and 20. It was a long episode.
It was 73 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it did feel long, but like it also was engaging for the whole time that we're watching it. So yeah, mostly it was the siege of Eregion, and yeah, you have a lot of things happening. Not only is Eregion being sieged, Anatar is turning up the dial on Celebrimbor to get the 9 done. Clearly all of this has been masterpieced or it's the master plan of Sauron, right? Like he needs the 9, but also like he wants the orc army to be there because he's going to reclaim his orc army in some way, shape, or form. Probably after Adar is killed, and who knows who's going to kill Adar. but maybe it'll be his orc friend who feels betrayed.
Yeah, with the crown, he'll use the crown to kill Adar, maybe, or something like that.
Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, this it's a big battle, um, and we see a lot of cool things. I mean, yes, they trebuchet the fuck out of the mountain to dam the river, which
Mm.
dried up incredibly quickly so that they can cross it. Um,
Also, but the downing of the mountain looked really really cool when it like all crashed in the water and shit. It was like probably 50% of the show's budget was that CGI. Like when they hit the mountain and like the cliff started falling and it started a chain reaction and shit, was really cool.
well, like so
So,
much of, there are a lot of amazing visuals in this show,
mm,
and one of them also is when the elves arrive and they are charging towards the orcs, and you kind of see like this like ethereal light shining around the elves, and around the
yeah.
orcs it's all dark.
Hmm.
So that was really cool.
Yeah, Rhea
Um,
liked that a lot. She said she liked how like it's very elven for like the light and like their golden glinting armor and stuff like that. Looked really cool.
Yeah, and it
Um,
was cool to see Gilgalad there, even though he was useless for the most part until like the very end, where he shows why
mm,
he's the High King, and yeah, whew. I have been wanting to see Gilgalad kill some orcs with his spear for a long time, and it was finally good to see good bits of Gilgalad that weren't total dog shit. Anyway, but yeah. The I don't really understand. I'm glad that the series hasn't divulged itself fully to like being a servant for Galadriel,
mm,
because like she's been barely involved in some of this stuff, uh,
mm,
eh, which is good. She's been a prisoner, so and obviously a lot of the plot still like revolves around her. The elves don't just straight up murder the orcs because she's a prisoner, and then Elrond has to help save her, and um, then she shows up to help kill a Brimbor, and he gives her the nine and stuff. So like
mm.
the plot's still like there around her, but like not everything's about her and her being just annoying and weird. Um, but no, it's this episode was very good.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
it was like it's like I'm still in recovery from like everything that happened because there was so much happening once. Like you're right, Galadriel's character was developed on a little bit where she was just kind of being more like pathetic and like more like humbled, I guess, is because after she got captured and shit like that, and she's like, you should have when he stopped charging when
yeah,
what's his face
uh, Adar,
the lore
Elrond,
no, the lore master, what's his name? I'm so
Adar,
bad at these elf names. No, not Adar.
the
The
War
other
Master,
main,
Gilgalad,
no, the lore master,
the
elven lore master.
Lore Master,
Yeah,
the
isn't that
Elven
what?
Lore Master,
Hugo Weaving Hugo Weaving
Elrond.
played him in Elrond. There it is. That's what he's called, lore master, right? I don't know why
Yes,
I always.
he is a Lore Master,
Okay, yeah.
but
So I keep forgetting everyone's names. I don't know why. Like it just keeps happening. Either way though,
it's a
like I
lot of
love how he
names.
stopped. Yeah, he stopped his charge and everything like that, and he like she looked really disappointed when she stopped when he stopped the charge, and they escaped and started fighting through the trebuchets and stuff like that, and that was really badass. Like Elven guerrilla fighting, then they joined like the main armies on like the mud and shit, and they're all in the mud killing each other, and like
Yeah,
the elves are putting up a solid defense, and like they're using this shit that like they would pull like a freaking some kind of napalm, and then they would shoot it with arrows and it would go down on the orcs and start burning them all and shit, and that was really badass. And then the orcs had like this like a ravager, which is like this thing like a ratchet essentially that yanks the wall out once they hammer in like some nails and shit like that. And this just all culminates and like there's this big battle going on. There's lots of death and blood and awesome sword fights and shit like that, and everybody's killing each other. And then they're like, send in the troll.
yeah.
And then
Also,
like
that orc just straight up slit the throat of Elrond's horse, bro. You don't fuck with Elrond's horse, okay? It's fucked up.
yeah, like how Iran looked sad for a moment, and then he gathered himself and went on to go
Yeah.
kill and shit like that. And like that's how he knew he was gonna kill some
It
stuff. And
it's really good to see Elrond actually like fighting and not being a pussy ass bitch.
yeah, yeah, that's what Rio was saying too. And Rio's like, Rio was just wondering the entire time where his sons were because they're kicking around and they hate orcs just as much as he
Well,
does.
I don't
So
know if he has sons yet because his
oh,
wife, Celebrian, is the daughter of Galadriel. Where is
oh, that's
Galadriel's
right.
child?
Rio sent me a meme about that. That's what she meant when she posted me that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't
Uh-huh.
kiss your future mother-in-law, Elron.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what.
Yes.
Let me
Yes.
send you the. Let me send you the. This Rio sent me that. I wonder what he went. What that meant.
Uh.
Ugh.
Wait. Don't kiss your future mother-in-law. Yes. Yes. That, I mean, bro, he did though, and it obviously was like, to like pass her the pin thing to like, so she can escape. But yeah, I have no idea where, we don't know where Celeborn is. We don't know where Celebrian is. We don't know any of that shit. I don't even know if Galadriel has a daughter yet in this show. So very odd, and her and Celebrian's fate is very sad too. So
Yeah.
um. But yeah, like uh also Celebrimbor is just straight up tripping in this episode. Like he's
Mhm.
fully tripping balls.
Yeah, and it's
Um
great. It's fantastic. Like this guy who's playing Celebrimbor is really good at just being like the illusion like is shattering and it recrafts itself and like, this is the thing we were talking about. Me and Rio were talking about this in last week's episode too. Like that scene where Celebrimbor walks out into the square and everything was fine.
yeah.
I really wish they would have had a cutaway where Celebrimbor and Sauron are just sitting there talking while the city's burning around them, and Celebrimbor like has this weird enchanted look on his face. Or like if there was an instance where like a civilian fleeing bumped into Celebrimbor and like would have broke the illusion for a few like a half a second, and then like Sauron would have like recrafted it around him super fast or something. Like I
Mm,
just think their dialogue was really cringe, like with that enchantment. But I really do love what they were doing with the illusion and everything like that, where he's hiding like how exhausted he is in his destroyed workshop and shit, and it was really good shit, man, really good.
yeah. Also, I don't know if I'm guessing you also predicted this, but like when he did do the illusion and he handed him the the pouch with Mithril, like
Hmm.
you knew it was his blood, right? Like the
I
whole
didn't.
time.
I didn't. Is that how
Uh
he controls them with his blood?
well,
Because Rio told me Sauron's like a vampire. I don't really know what that means, but that's what she keeps saying. Is that like he's like a
he
vampire
he
and he has like
turns
vampire
into a
wives?
he turns into a bat,
Yeah,
or he
okay. But
can.
he's like, yeah.
But well, I mean, part of it, right? Like you have to assume is like when he the idea is he pours a bit of himself into the rings, right, so that he can
Mm,
corrupt and control.
controlled them. Yeah.
And he did the same thing with the dwarven rings, and that
But
he couldn't get
Rio
more
told me.
mithril.
Yeah, and Rio told me like the dwarven rings don't work as intended for him, right? Like they're
No,
too
because
stubborn for him
dwarves
to
are way
control.
too
They just
stubborn. Yeah, like it
yeah,
just
they just
ends
fuck
up
with their
making him
head.
very greedy,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's it. Like
That sequence too, where he was confronting his father, that was last week too, right? Where he was like, take off the
yeah,
ring, and like I don't have to prove anything to you. Like
yeah.
that was some good shit, man. And he was crying, like
Oh
it
yeah,
felt
and
really
then
bad.
Disa summons some bats.
Bats, we hated that. Rio and I hated that. We both thought that was so fucking
It's so
stupid.
stupid.
Yeah, Rio were just like, dude, why did of all the things she could have made like a bunch of gravel fall from the ceiling or something like that to scare them off. But why bats?
Yeah, I also thought it was kind of dumb. Like, well, so like Elrond asks Durin for some help, and Durin's like, okay, and like he gives this massive speech, and he rallies all the dwarven troops, and then like, you know, we find out through Narvi that his dad killed all of Narvi's men, and he's gonna start delving deeper and awaken the mysterious creature in the mines.
Hmm.
Why does he turn the whole army back? You only need like 5 guys to go confront the dad. You don't need
Yeah.
every dwarf in fucking Moria to go back.
I don't know. I think he's gonna go. He's gonna go. I think he's gonna go rescue Elrond. That's what I think is
Oh,
gonna
you think he's
happen.
gonna show up? It's
Yeah, but I think
crazy
they're just
how
they're
much
a little
like
late.
little parts of the Lord of the Rings they like try to like parallel in this show. And maybe it's
Hmm.
just because they have the rights to it, but like also like Rianne, the elf that gets a name like 2 seconds before she dies.
Yeah,
Like,
gets
like it's
where
just
she
it's
gets
just
like hit like
Boromir.
seven. She takes like seven arrows,
It's
right?
just
And
Boromir. Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, what a strong, independent woman.
Well,
And then one arrow is the one that does her in. But I guess that's what happened with Boromir too. She got Boromir.
yeah, she got Boromired.
Yeah.
And also she got a name like 2 seconds before she died. Because did you know her name before that?
No.
I certainly didn't. Yeah. Eventually Celebrimbor does break the spell, but it doesn't matter because everyone else in the city is under Sauron's spell still. Yeah, then he gets kind of like locked up to make the nine, and Sauron's like, bruh, I'm gonna kill the dumb elf girl, and everybody's gonna think it was you because she's
Mhm.
dumb, and so are they. And again, why are all the followers like in Numenor and Eregion just so stupid? They're all
Yeah.
so dumb. um, but yeah, uh, blah, blah. Uh, uh, I did like the conversation with Elrond and Adar.
Mhm.
And it's Adar's probably he's probably one of the early elves, and he got corrupted early by Morgoth, right?
Yeah, more.
Um,
It said like in his backwards blurb on the website that Amazon, like you can like read shit about the characters. He was like one of 10 elves trapped on a mountaintop by Morgoth to instruct them like in the evil ways, and he would like come and torture them every day for like years or whatever like that, some
well,
shit.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty classic Morgoth. But does it say
yeah.
what division of the elves he's from? Is he a Noldor? Is he a uh,
No, it just says he was kidnapped and trapped on a mountaintop by Morgoth and tortured endlessly. That, that's that's
gotcha?
the that's the blurb.
Yeah, well, Adar also seems to know that Elrond is a descendant of Melian, and he
Mm,
calls her Melian of the Valar. I may be mistaken here, but Melian was not a Valar. Melian was a Maiar. Uh,
mm,
but she was from Valinor. Still she's very early powerful being, married to King Thingol, from Doriath. Their daughter was Luthien, who married Beren.
mm.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
of
know.
course, of course, of course. Yeah. But yeah, it was good to hear her name. Um, yeah, and then I also put in my notes. Ew, Elrond kissed his future wife's mom. Um,
I'll be sure to point that out to Rio. It was
yeah.
a sleight of hand. It was really badass. Not gonna lie. I think it was a cool. I like sleight of hand and things like that. And she was like, "Wait, what the?" As soon as like he leaned in for the kiss, like she started freaking out. Like, "Wait, what the fuck is he doing?" Which I thought was actually pretty funny. She was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And then he
Yeah.
passed her the ring. And that was pretty funny.
Yeah. And who should show up but Irondir?
Hmm.
He shows up because obviously he wants to kill Adar.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, when fucking Galadriel escapes, how would they not know? Like, it's clearly not an orc. Like, why didn't she put on one of those creepy orc masks that like some of
Hmm.
them were wearing? Like, I don't get it. Like, she's clearly not an orc, but yeah, Arondir rescues her.
Hmm.
Um, and we talked about King Durin killing Narvi's men to go dig deeper.
Hmm.
Celebrimbor tried to destroy the Nine Rings, but that didn't work.
Yeah.
That did not work at all. Then he put him in a bag and he cut off his finger.
Oh yes, I forgot all about that too. His expression too was like you could see like the shock, and then as the shock started to wear off, like the tears forming at the edge of his eyes. Like that was
Yeah,
good. Everything with Celebrimbor was fucking awesome, dude.
yeah,
Everything. Like I don't think there was any bad scenes aside from their like that the illusion where everything is perfect on the balcony. I think all of like their interactions have just been fantastic this entire time.
yeah. Um, and I did see some people like speculating, like, oh, why did he cut off his finger with the thing and not just like cut the handcuffs off?
Mm-hmm.
My guess is the handcuffs are very magical.
Yeah.
Like there's some magicalness because he did try to like
Mm.
break them, and
They're
they
elven crafted, so I
yeah,
imagine
yeah.
like elven masterwork for
Um,
like they can't be broken. But it's like they have like elven rope or whatever, right? Where you tug on it, and the other end like just like it's super taut. But if you're on the bottom and you tug on it with the intent of releasing it, it'll come down. It's
yeah,
fucking little
magic,
shit like that.
elf magic.
Yeah,
Uh,
elf magic.
but before that, he did. Celebrimbor and Sauron had an interesting interaction,
Mm,
where Sauron is pretty much like still manipulating him, but like he sees through it. But Sauron's like talking about how Morgoth would like torture him and like whatever, and it's
yeah.
like it's mental mentality is stronger, and like
Mm,
who like all this shit, and like he does the gaslightiest gaslighting shit ever, And
Mm.
he's like, I'm not doing this to you, Celebrimbor. You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, Celebrimbor does call him out. He's like, ah, you really are the great deceiver. So, yeah, very intriguing action stuff happening there. Um, and then Galadriel comes to the aid of Celebrimbor, and again, the elves in Eregion are just so stupid. And she's like, "This is the true Lord of Eregion," and they're like, "Oh, so he is." Like, shucks, we must go confront Anatar now. And then yeah, he gives Galadriel the 9 to protect. Let's just be honest, she's gonna straight up hand him over to Sauron, so in some way, shape, or form. Um, and then Celebrimbor gives this great speech about how um, light is greater than strength, and you know it's not,
Yeah.
you know, even though we weren't strong enough to withstand Sauron, like the light is what will essentially say, you know, it's metaphorical in a lot of ways for like the power of God and like goodness and things like that. But yeah, very good. Big troll.
Mm.
Big Troll didn't give a fuck, bro. Big Troll was just fucking stomping on
Yeah.
people,
No,
using orcs
that
as
that was.
shields.
Yeah, he was like just running through the battlefield when he first appeared, like just enjoying the carnage, like grabbing random orcs and eating them, or like and like swiping like elves out of the way, like with a hand and shit like that, and he's just stomping on random people, like he's having a good time. That whole sequence is really badass, and he has this really badass like basically heavy metal theme that's playing the entire time while he's doing it. Rio and I really appreciated like the orc music, like
Yeah.
boom, bah, Buddha, blah, 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 and like there'd be like an electric guitar in the background and shit, and it was just it was just really cool.
Yeah.
That and Arondir or whatever his name is, like was being extra badass. It feels like since like his love interest was probably supposed to be like the underpinning of his entire plot was gone. Just like, okay, man, just do action movie scenes the rest of the show.
Yeah. Until we
That's gonna
kill
be
you,
you.
which is this episode.
Yeah, yeah. Until we
Yeah.
can
That
Adar killed you.
that's in my notes too. I said bye, Arondir. I guess we don't need you anymore.
Yeah. He
Since
tried. Like, I feel bad though, like because it just sucks that like the person like that his relationship was pinned on just like basically had to be killed off screen or something like that because she wanted out of the show. That was really kind of
yeah, but she
shitty,
was also awful.
Yeah,
Like,
she was.
there's no
She
way
was
this
an
story
old
was gonna
lady.
go in a better direction than this.
Yep.
So, um, yeah, and then Sauron, he's just using the Force on everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
he's Jedi
So how
mind
does he
tricking
con-
people.
so did he put the blood in his stuff to control like those soldiers? How did that work? Like, is
I
he
don't
already?
think that's how he controlled the soldiers. I think he controlled the soldiers because essentially everybody bought into his deceptions, and
Mm,
they gave him
like the
power over
willpower?
them. Yeah,
Okay.
and so he has essentially control over them. I mean, we don't see a lot of Sauron's powers. Well, we don't see it in any of the Lord of the Rings movies or Hobbit movies.
Yeah.
And mostly it's done through like corruption and deception and whatever.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just whoever's wearing the ring too. It's mostly just Frodo. That's it. Like the most person doing most magic in this show is Saruman, like in the original trilogy, or Gandalf.
yeah. Well, I
Like
mean,
you see the eye and it's really freaking cool.
and
But that's
when Adar is talking to Galadriel about the power of Sauron and like how like he makes you see what you want and what you want to be, and he makes you believe you can be it and whatever. Like that's straight up what the ring does to you as well. Like,
mm,
and that's why hobbits are so much less susceptible to it, because what does a hobbit want more than anything? Really, just like to be at home with a good meal and you know
yeah.
like whereas like men, they want power, they want to protect
Yeah,
the
like
things they love and whatever, like
when
they have.
Sauron was trying to crap Sam, right? Like Sam's like, "Well, Do you want to make a garden of the world?" He's like, "I already have a garden at home." Like.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's you're right. It's hard to corrupt hobbits.
yeah. So but yeah, essentially, like in the extended works of Tolkien, he can also like turn into different, like, he can make himself look different. He can turn into like animals, like he turns into a giant wolf, he turns into like a bat, right? Like
Mm,
but later those powers are lost to him after the fall of Numenor. um but yeah, these are new powers to me that
mm.
I mean, I haven't read every bit of Tolkien, everything, and I don't know everything, and I whatever, but to my knowledge he didn't have these sorts of powers in the legendarium at any point, but it was cool to see. He made all the elves kill each other.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Like
So
when he made them.
yeah, and then he straight up sliced the last one, and he was like, Celebrimbor. I'm pretty sure he's gonna kill Celebrimbor and do the thing where he puts him on a flag post and you know parades him in front of his army of orcs as soon as he reclaims them. So
Yep.
And then yeah, at the very end, the orcs finally break through the wall of Eregion,
Mm-hmm.
and
And they're pushing through.
Adar gets Galadriel's ring because he really wanted her ring. He really wanted her
Yeah.
ring so that he could use it to try to defeat Sauron.
Yeah.
It's not going to work that way, I don't think, but he got it. So that's where the episode ended, and it was just a very very good episode from beginning to end. Probably the best episode of the series so far.
Yeah.
So, and yes, we got the battle of 20 v 1,000. The 20 remaining elves versus like all of the orcs, which is pretty accurate. The elves were vastly outnumbered in the Siege of Eregion in the book, and that's how Eregion was destroyed, and Celebrimbor was killed. And yes, even though Gilgalad fights valiantly, they are defeated. He doesn't die in this battle. He dies in the Battle of Dagorlad, the last alliance of elves and men. But yeah, no, very very good episode, and I hope it's like the show continues to move in this direction more so. And
We only got one episode left, right?
yeah, but I mean for future seasons as well.
Yeah. How many? I think there's only gonna be 3 seasons, to be honest with you. Just like there were 3 movies. You know.
We'll see. I think I think originally they had planned for 4,
4.
but I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of House of the Dragon, where they said there are only going to be 4 seasons or something. But I don't know. Maybe there will only be 3 seasons, but that timeline would be very very compressed. And the show has a lot to wrap up in the last episode, so my prediction is it won't wrap those things up. It'll just leave them for the next season, including the Dark Wizard and Rune, Gandalf choosing between Destiny and his friends. I don't know if we'll see Tom Bombadil again, but whatever.
Hope not.
Sauron reclaiming his army. I'm pretty sure that will be resolved. I'm pretty sure Adar will just die in the next episode. Sauron will reclaim his army. The elves will reclaim their rings and decide not to use them, hopefully. Because they know that Sauron has power over them in some way, shape, or form. Even though he didn't aid in their making. He didn't have a hand in it. His blood isn't in him in this show, I guess is the best way to say it, because his blood's in everything else. And then next season, he'll corrupt some kings of men. And we also have to wrap up whatever is going on in Numenor, unless they're just going to end it there with the Queen of the Sea garbage and whatever. And I didn't talk about this with you, but I did mention it when I talked about episodes 5 and 6. Why does everybody hate Anorion, the brother of Isildur? Also, where the fuck is Isildur? But we never see him in anything. Like in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they replaced his Argonath statue with Elendil's. And, we got, one mention of him, I think, in Season 1, where they said he's in Middle-earth doing some random shit. Where the fuck is Anarion? Nobody cares about him, do they? Nobody.
Nope.
They barely care about Isildur. Let's be honest. So, anyway, yeah. I don't know, the Rings of Power is something I look forward to every week. Even when the episodes aren't that good. I just look forward to it.
Well, it's nice to have Lord of the Rings content. I think that's something a lot of people don't appreciate, It's just nice to have these things.
Yeah. I think, there's a lot of discourse, obviously, about the show, and, people saying, the people making the show hate Tolkien and all this stuff. But it's very clear to me that they don't hate Tolkien, and they do know a lot about his works. And they're taking some creative freedoms, which they were always going to, but people will, have an issue with. But I don't know if those same people have an issue with Peter Jackson's creative freedom. So, yeah, I mean, I think that maybe I'm just a sucker for like the call outs or whatever, like because they mentioned so many like pieces of the Legendarium, like from Baron and Tuor. Like most people who are like Lord of the Rings fans or fans of the Lord of the Rings movies, they have no idea who Tuor is. They don't know who Baron is. They don't know who Arendelle is. They don't know who fucking Manwë and Aule are, which are characters that also got shout outs. They don't know who Melian is, like, and that's okay. But like for the people who do know, like I don't know, it's like enough for me to go, oh, that's cool, you know? Like they're clearly fans of the material.
Mm.
Maybe I'm a sucker for thinking that. Maybe they just opened the book and they just, threw those things in there. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Any other thoughts other than you hate Tom Bombadil?
I hate Tom Bobadil. No, the episode was just so good. Like, it's just it was because mostly action sequences, so there's not like a lot to deep review. Like, we could be like one of those nerds. Well, if you know his sword style, his Alvin's sword dancing technique, it was blah 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 blah. We don't know
It
any of
was
that shit.
cool.
So
Who cares?
yeah,
It's the same
the
thing as
armor looked great.
it's the same
The
thing
orcs look
as like people
cool.
saying, "Oh, it's not historically accurate because in the medieval times they more used axe than swords, and swords were more for appearances. But everybody knew the axe was the better weapon, and everybody used axe. So why do they use swords in Lord of the Rings? It's fiction.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares."
Yeah, it's fiction. Just like maybe the river did dry out a little too quick, but also they had to
It
get to a
was a
big
convenient
epic
plot point for the orcs to just be able to walk across it, push their heavy ass trebuchets that didn't sink
Mm,
1 inch. But then when the elves showed up to try to cross it, they're sinking into the dirt and all this shit.
yeah,
Like, come on, it's just a plot point. It's convenient. It's whatever.
yeah,
So yeah,
yep.
yeah. But season finale this week. Have you watched any of Agatha?
No.
It's very good.
Okay, I'll need to check it out.
Very good.
Is it very Marvel-y?
It's marvelly, but it's also like it's just engaging. It's like the first episode is like a little different because like it's very Celebrimbor being mind controlled ish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real. I don't know if you ever watched the show Mayor of Easton or whatever. I never watched it, but the first episode is like an allusion to that show or like a play on that show. And then yeah, but they go real deep. They go deep Marvel lore in this show, like the Salem Seven, who a lot of people probably aren't familiar with because like they're just an obscure group of people from like a 1970s, late 1970s Fantastic Four comic book. That does have Agatha in it because she was the nanny of Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards. So very deep kind of lore there, but like you don't need to know any of that. So, but it's very good. It's very good.
Yep.
So yeah, 3 episodes in so far. It's very good. Go on, Chase. Anyway, what
Yep.
else? Anything else? Any other things you want to talk about?
Not really. It's just all some good stuff. I'm excited for the last season of the next episode. It's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be good. It's probably gonna be like 2 hours long.
Oh, we're gonna have that debate again. I think it'll be like an hour 20 long.
I think maybe an hour 45, hour 20.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be longer, I think, because they do have a lot to kind of try to put a bow on, try to
Yep.
tie it up. But yeah. All right. Well. I think that's it. But as far as episode 7 goes, to me it's like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, it's really good. The only thing we didn't really talk about is the orc with the baby and the wife is very clearly like he's becoming disillusioned with Adar because Adar he's okay sacrificing orcs if it means that he can save more orcs from Sauron's influence. So the husband orc seems very sad, and maybe he will betray Adar. Maybe when he said to charge, he didn't charge. He stayed where he was. So yeah. Also, the crown. Yeah, the crown of Morgoth. They mentioned that had the Silmarils in it. Lots of history there. Lots of stuff there. But
Lots of history.
yes, I'm sure Rio explained a lot of it to you as well.
Yeah, well, she was more interested in if, like, whether or not Durham's going to show up. She was going full in on the dwarf floor last night. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of this stuff is like more inserted for the show, like the Durin Elrond stuff. As I know, like it's for the show because the elves and the dwarves kind of fell out a long time ago over, well, mostly over gems and jewels and things like that. Because yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, but there's a specific story that I'm pretty sure it involves Thingol as well, like the king from Doriath, and a dwarf. But I don't believe there's much about Elrond being besties with Prince Durin the Fourth. But I
Hmm.
could be wrong. Could be wrong. So, but yeah, what did Rio tell you about dwarf lore?
Oh, let's see. Um, oh, Durin is one of the dwarves. The name means sleepy, so she was told me that Tolkien made a lot of hidden jokes in his novel. Apparently, that people didn't pick up to, like that smog actually means dick. Apparently, I didn't realize that. Um,
I mean, depends on the language, you know.
mm, Iron Hills talking about how they went to the Lonely Mountain and then came back for the Hobbit. You know, Durin did. So.
Yeah, I mean, more the thing with Moria is like it can't fall yet. Like it doesn't fall for a while, and they eventually do go to reclaim it. Yes, that's how. Well, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. So
Hmm.
yes, but yes, Durin's Bane is clearly the Balrog, the Balrog. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, if you have other questions about lore stuff that struck your mind from the show, you can make a list and we could talk about it next time during the finale.
Yep.
So all
Yep.
right. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that's it. There's been some nerd news, but I don't retain any of that. So maybe one day we'll talk about nerd news, but
Hmm.
not today. It is not this day. Anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks for talking with me, Chair. I hope you had a fun time.
Great
Um,
time.
yeah, we'll be back next week. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, all those things. Bye.